So thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you all here. I'm going to start with you, Shruti. I think Suprita did mention about the fact that you represent, the women workforce in a strongly male-dominated industry. And we have our own Nirupa and Pavitra also kind of, flying that flag high. Do you think the industry is changing? I know I'm going to dive into the innovation bit for sure, but this is an absolutely critical question to ask. Where are you seeing that there is a lot of interest from women who might be eyeing a career in civil engineering and construction?
So thank you for having me, and it's a privilege to be asked this question and the acknowledgement from the industry. When I started 20 years ago, there was just me and another lady in projects in BL Kashyap. So traditionally, it's been a male bastion, and societal also, very cultural societal aspects are also very well integrated in this. Very few women opt for core civil engineering, unless you're extremely passionate about it. And the good part is the ones that opt, fight it all the way, because you have to be driven. So today, at least I can speak for BL Kashyap. I'm here as a witness to that. We hire equal number of women today on campus when we go, especially south of India, execution force is 50-50. And you have to give them a very secure environment to work, because construction is not like real estate. I think real estate is way more inclusive and safe for where women are concerned. But in construction, it is unsafe. You cannot account for the 5,000 labor on site where safety is concerned. So we have a buddy system where we deploy minimum 2 women at a project execution site, and a male counterpart accompanies them when they go on the floor. So these kind of things are very much happening. We did not have a women's toilet 20 years ago, to break it down. Today we have porta cabins for both. Our templates in the office were dear sir. Today there's also dear ma'am. So yes, there are a lot of changes happening, but construction has a long way to go. And the winds are blowing of change strongly and surely. So I'm very, very hopeful. It's a very, very strong goal for me in the next decade to push this forward.
Perfect. May your tribe increase. Roshan, you want to add something to
that? I'm glad to mention Brigade, probably one of the first to deploy women engineers on the site, and we have 2 projects which has been very successfully completed by women engineers. And today, like she said, women, they are willing to go to the site, and some of the demand we want to be in the site and not in the office. There was a girl from here, Malleshwaram. So I thought the ideal place is, she could just walk across here. She insisted I need to be in Devnahalli project of ours, and she went there. She completed a beautiful project there. And the project leaders are here.
I just have to tell you, we have majority women-led planning, design, and tender department at BL Kashyap today.
Fantastic.
So we're ruling.
Awesome.
I'll also like to chip in, Gautam here. I'm sorry to intervene.
No.
Since I represent the city of Mumbai, and I represent almost 1,800 developers from Mumbai, which all of them are the part of CREDA MCHI. And I'm glad to tell you that out of those 1,789 developers in the Mumbai metropolitan region, there are 2 developers who have started a very noble initiative. They encourage women laborers on their site with extra money on offer. Number 2, they offer crash facilities for their kids. They offer resting facility, especially for women laborers. So I'm not going to the details of it, but the point is, as she said, the time has already started changing. Developers especially have started recognizing the need of having gender equality onto the construction grassroots level I'm talking about. And you know why? It's not about promoting gender equality only. We have also observed, and CREDA MCHI is also into a lot of surveys, we have observed that when we employ women laborers at site, certain or specific activities are good at pace compared to mix of genders into labors.
Interesting. I mean, that's maybe something that had not been factored in earlier. Thanks for chipping in there. So, Roshan, in your vast experience in the industry, you've seen the single building to the multi-use facility that we are currently, occupying right now. You've clearly looked at a lot of innovations that you might have adopted. The construction process has changed. There might have been building material that might have evolved from bricks to AAC blocks, etc. So I'd just love to get a nice, quick summary of the chronological, advances that you've seen that have worked for you, and then I would also love for you to tell us what were some failures. What was the risk that you took, and is that something that you even have the liberty of taking anymore?
Let me trace it like this. In the design, we started with, I'm talking about way back. It was AutoCAD, and for structural design, it was StatPro or whatever. There's so many of these. And on the construction front, precast technology, aluminum formwork, all of this we started long time back. I'm not talking about AutoCAD as a, we were the pioneers or anything. It's not like that. All I want to say is, all of these things came much later, and I want to trace. Does anyone know when a calculator was invented? Any idea, anyone? It was in 1967. And the Sydney Harbour Bridge was constructed in 1930. The steel bridge of 503 meters, it was all in segments, fabricated in UK, shifted to Australia, Sydney in Australia. All the prisoners who were deported to Australia were made to work on that. And on the 503-meter bridge, on completion of it, the last piece when they were putting it, there was a 20 mm variation on a 503-meter bridge. That is a kind of accuracy. And all of these were done with no AutoCAD, no computer, nothing, no calculator either. There was something called a slide rule. I think it's called a slide rule. I haven't used it. It's prior to me. But this is what technology has, today it is very easy. But what the failure is, people have lost touch with this native knowledge what we have. Everything, today you ask somebody, how did you get this? StatPro says so. But if your input is not proper, you can have some terrible results. You should know the structure, only then can you do it. But today, how did you know it? How did you get the result? StatPro. This is as dangerous as having a nuclear weapon with a rogue country. It's very scary. We don't apply our mind. The failure is that human effort is just vanished. This is the major failure. I'm not talking about technology going bad, but it has got to penetrate, and it's got to penetrate properly. It should be handled by skilled people. That's what I would like to say. On product side, you get a lot of new products, excellent ones, but on the services side, we have issues. The workmen, the training of workmen and stuff like that. Like a gas insulated substation, for example, which is almost maintenance free. We have got one here. Probably the first in the private sector in Karnataka. We had put it long time back. There are the REAP cohorts here, the water metering system. All of these things are working well. Yeah. The issue is on the services side, on the workers side, there's got to be a lot more of training to happen. Otherwise, we are losing out on the industry.
So, Keval, I'm going to come to you. Actually, you forgot the failures. I know the human failures is something that you touched upon.
That's what I'm saying. The people are failing. People.
Interesting.
The engineers, you ask engineers at a campus interview, ask them about bending moment or some moment of inertia or modulus of section. The response is as if this guy is dated. We don't need to know that, because StatPro says all this, whatever. You don't need to get into anything. This is the problem. When I started working, today, I don't think any one of you here, most of you wouldn't have seen this. There was something called a Weighbatcher. Mm-hmm. Today, you ask a new guy, where does the concrete come from? It comes from that transit mixer. They've never seen making of concrete. It's like asking a kid, where do you get milk from? It comes from Nandini. It can't be that. You need to have.
I mean, it's important. Is it the problem or is it the symptom of a problem? I mean, is it because we are churning out greater number of engineers now, and clearly they are not ready or fully baked for them to be absorbed, and there's a lot of training that has to happen once they actually join the workforce.
My fear is that unless the training is imparted and they are made employable, we have this issue. When I started working, the first contractor was Gina Engineering, and there was Mr. Nair, doyen of construction industry at that time. He told me to check the quality of concrete. What you have to do was take a ball of concrete, roll it up and see whether it will be as cohesive as a ball of rice or ragi or something. Sure. Today, if I ask engineers at site, how many of you have touched concrete, do you know how it feels? I don't think I'll get a proper response on that. So people also have to get involved. Technology alone can't do this. Technology can be an enabler. It cannot be a substitute for sure.
Well said. I agree with that. So, Keval, thanks for making the trek all the way from Mumbai, and from your vantage position that you occupy from CREDAI MCHI, you are exposed to many developers in the region and around it as well. Now, in your opinion, are you seeing that this sector is hungry for innovation at all? I mean, we see a lot of resistance. I mean, we've been doing this for the last 6 years. But there's a lot of walls that we still have to break for adoption to kind of happen. So what is that hunger, and what are the challenges? I mean, how can we do better?
There will be a long answer, Gautam.
We've got 3 minutes for you, Max.
Cheers. So the thing is, there is no straight answer, yes or no. You have to understand the chronology. I am sure all of us sitting here knows that only 1.5% of real estate revenue actually gets invested into tech as such. There is a reason to it. I'll come to that later on. But the thing is, yes, the industry was not ready to look at technology as an alternative business running management system. We all were happy having our own ERPs and MIS in the corporate offices, and we used to call ourselves tech-savvy real estate developers, which was wrong, and it's changing. Especially post-COVID-19, where we realized that people were actually scouting home buying from their laptops and from their iPads. We understood that we need to make our websites better. Forget about having other tech-savvy mediums in the business. So it changed drastically post-COVID-19. And now I see, now the answer to your question is that hunger, it is still developing. I'm still a guy who has waken up from his dreams, and the breakfast time is yet to come. So I'm still in that stage where the industry is gearing up to understand the value of property technology, which can bring immense kind of benefits to the system. And why? Number one, construction industry at least is an industry which has got lower margins of profit where it compares to other industries. And when you say that, when you have lower margins, obviously you will focus on your core competency or your core business.
You couldn't have said it better. Absolutely.
Thank you. So we don't have money to invest into PropTech to start with, A. B, this industry, construction sector of real estate industry is a very complex sector as such. And when you have such a complex structure, you will always focus on your deadlines, you will always focus on your approval timelines, you will always focus on your RERA deadlines. Where do I have got time to look at some options which will benefit my business? I don't have that. I'll give you the details again in the later part. And the third part is that we don't have enough young talent. Why? Because I'm a traditional business. As I said, I'm a low margin business, so obviously I cannot attract talent, appropriately talented youth from the society, which will bring in fresh air or fresh ideas. So because of these three things, the construction sector, the real estate sector at large, was not ready until COVID-19. Now I have been getting queries from my fellow developers from my fellow site managers. Sir, we have heard about this particular. Recently, I was talking with a guy called Gautam Singhvi is from Home Exchange. So he has come up with a new prop tech where selling home is easy. So if I want to sell my house and I have to buy a new house, I just have to approach him. He will do my due diligence. He will give me 3 lakh rupees of advance. Within 1 month, he will sell my house and get me a new house. Now this is something which was unheard of. I'm not talking about the technology, but the idea here. Idea has then penetrated into technology and given me a solution. So yes, the perspectives are changing. Developers are looking forward. I am meeting a lot of influencers to start with. Forget about prop tech, but the influencers who will use digital media platforms to influence my product, to influence my prospective buyers. And trust me, down the line, we have no other option but to go tech savvy. Thank you.
No, I get that, and actually you've touched upon a lot of technologies outside of the construction phase that I want to kind of focus on, which, you know, I'm going to come to Roshan, you first, before I come to you, Shruti. You know, is this even economically viable? I mean, he said that, you know, I don't have the money to invest in prop tech. Now, if that is where, you know, accelerators like us come in, where we are actually looking at these fearless startups to come in and they take the R&D headache away from, you know, the eventual customers like a Brigade or any other developer. Now, if they are able to show you the results, the value in adopting a certain technology, and that you will actually be either saving a lot of money or making money because of the adoption. So how do you look at the economic viability of adoption of technology?
I mean, Brigade, we would certainly invest in technology. Given the opportunity, we'll certainly do that. And REAP is one of those. We wanted to do that. See, everything need not be expensive. Everything need not be expensive. There are technology available, but as I mentioned, it should be used properly. But I would like to see new technology coming, which is deployable at site. It cannot be, okay, in an ideal situation, you do this. For example, when I have been hearing about the plastering machines, painting machines, bricklaying, flooring, all of that. But if you look at it from an engineer standpoint, the basic of all of these is geometry. Yep. It's geometry. Otherwise, you'll have a skewed floor or an out-of-plumb wall. So how are we going to address all of that? Because it cannot, all of this can be enablers and not substitutes. I've seen floor laying, tile laying machines, but it was something like the one I saw was everything was put on the floor and then a vacuum grip comes and places the tile. Is that what we want? That is not what we want. So I would think of something, okay, how do I check the level, whether you can check the hollowness of a tile after it's laid, rather than knocking with a coin or a hammer all over the place, or the plane of a wall, the plumb like that. It's something like that. And you know that we got technology for water metering, amazing product. So there are plenty of these available. It's not expensive. Plastering machines are available, I'm told, but we went a little deeper into that, just didn't get it, because to make a plain surface, it's possible, but when you do the corners, you need human intervention, and you're not going to get a worker to do the corners alone. How will you do a window jam? So what is mentioned as a technology should be deployable at site is what I would think, and need not be expensive either.
All right. So Shruti, I mean, I'm going to riff off the point that Roshan made. You know, an overwhelmingly large portion of the workforce is on the site, right? And you know, you have problems with inconsistent quality, worker safety, you know, progress of the project that needs to happen in real time but does not. So technology does need to kind of trickle down to these 90% of the people that are on site and not the 10% that are in the corporate office, right? Now, are you, I mean, are you seeing a lot of that happening? Are you seeing technology percolate down that way?
So we are divided, and we have the blue collar, and then we have the engineering, right? So where technology is concerned, it's very difficult for us. I mean, everybody has a smartphone today, and we have other issues where safety is concerned now on sites, especially with the phones in hand. But it's very difficult for us to make data understood and mechanize our entire workforce. It's just not possible. It also is not possible because there's very high level attrition in the middle segment of the workforce. However, because of the pandemic, we completely drone monitored today. And what we generate is very valuable. Like yesterday in a project site in DLF, there was a safety issue happening and we saw it through the drone. So it was caught immediately, the guy was tagged off. So these kind of things definitely are helping. We have handled it on our own because we tried deviation mapping, drone imaging, but the images that are generated cannot be used for deviation. So how you map deviation is, we are BIM compliant. So we have the planning, MS Projects is integrated with BIM, and then the videos would actually help us map the delays according to that and the actual execution when you overlay the layers. However, that is not possible. The software we have used and seen is just not compliant, nor does it help. So going back to what he said very clearly, it has to be an enabler. We cannot not human intervention. It is absolutely mandatory. And the other thing that I would really like to say, the last 2 quarters, the rain has played havoc with all of us contractors. It's been extremely terrible, and what we have realized is if there is any tech available or that can be developed that takes real-time data weather, maybe in advance, and we can map that with our planning and then do execution of like an excavation or a slab pour according to that. That would be really helpful. We are, like he said, a very tight margin business, and we depend on our stakeholders who are our clients. And yeah, other than BIM...
So on that note, if there are any startups that are looking for an idea to go crack, here's a problem statement, there's a willing customer as well.
Yes, absolutely. So other than that, I think it is, we are basically using all our resources to skill our people. We have a training program that called BLK Wizards, and we train the fresh off college on campus. We are training them because they are not ready to be on site otherwise.
Even we have something called the structured training program, which is in demand, and I've heard students saying, even if you don't recruit us, doesn't matter. Permit us to be part of this.
That. Yeah, yeah.
So there is an ominous sign right here, and I said we'll catch up. I'm just going to have a couple of questions from the audience.
Hi, can you hear?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Hi. Hi, thank you so much for such a beautiful insight. Thanks, Shruti, Roshan, Keval. So I have spent 22 years in real estate, was part of strategies, business, and pretty much aligned with the fact that, yes, there is an upskilling which is required. But are we thinking about the fact that are we upskilling the blue collars? Because end of the day, they are the one who are going to do and be the site. So that's a large gap which is missing, and I'm sure Shruti will accept it, because end of the day, a contractor has to take the responsibility. And a developer has to pay little extra for it. So be it a tech or be it a skilling your blue collar resources, I personally feel that's more important for us to look forward a better industry per se, which is basically the second largest employment generator. Yeah.
I'm happy to answer that. There is a lot of blue-collar training that happens. I'm sure you would also be able to, second me on that. And the government is very proactive. There are a lot of skilled training camps, and we avail, I think at BL Kashyap, everything possible as a free resource available to us. And obviously paid resource also. We are very, very, without them, the building is not going to be done in quality on time. And that is our key resource. So definitely it's something that is happening. It happens more than training of the white collar.
Hi, good afternoon. Jyoti Gupta here. So I like the way that you spoke about BIM modeling. It will be good if you talk on how the smart construction with regard to BIM is actually using the data. Because in the previous panel that they were talking on more on how the urban designing, smart designing is being used. Now, when we try to integrate BIM modeling along with the smart planning, how are we trying to help the people getting trained with the skills, the contractors being utilizing the skill, and end of the day, how are we taking this into the smart city or sustainable development? So this is where I would like to put my question forward. Thank you.
You can do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you have to understand, Jyoti, there are two different compartments. One is penetrating with right amount and right type of technology into construction sector. So BIM comes there, right? Training contractors, training the people on site is another compartment altogether. Do not mix apples and oranges. So BIM will give you clarity, as you all know, all of us sitting here, BIM will avoid clashes, as we call it, right? So that is one part which is seen, observed, and notified at an office level or at a designer level, where structural designers, where electrical designers, MEP designers, architects sit together and avoid those clashes. Now, your question was, how do you make the contractors gain from the benefits of BIM? He doesn't need to benefit from BIM, he just needs to know the outcome, that the clashes have been resolved, and this is what he has to make. Now, BIM comes into the picture where it saves time, where it saves your resources, and gives a clear picture in terms of GEFC, good for construction drawings as we call it, to the contractor, so that he can start as soon as possible. Simple. Cheers.
But I've asked one of the BIM heads of India for any data that they have about how they have improved the efficiency of construction or added to ROI. There is no data available on that. So I may be wrong, this is 6 months ago, but that was a question I asked.
Is that reluctance to share the data, or the data is just not available?
He said it was not available.
It's not been tapped.
Yes. So then correct. So it's not available.
So I think I work with consultants, BIM consultants, who give me examples from their previous projects, saying that, sir, ye mat karo, isme aisa hua tha. So we might have data, but not in the right format, as you call it.
Yeah. So it exists, so we'll agree. It exists, but not in the format that is usable. Sangeeta, last question from you.
Yes. Hi, I'm Sangeeta Menon, and I run a company where we manufacture composite panels for construction, and these are over 95% eco-friendly. Now, my question is, okay, I think, or maybe I even know that I've got a very revolutionary product, but to get people like you all to start using it, we've got a legacy of over 17 years where we've done enough R&D, enough proof of concept. But what is it that it takes for the construction industry to start using it?
Come to us. We are
right now.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. Like, I represent CREDA MCHI, which is, as I said, organization of 1,800 odd developers, right? So we work for entrepreneurs like you. We will make sure that you get a platform where your products are seen, where you get a chance to speak about your product to array of developers. So the basic thing, it's not a management lesson from me. It's a very simple thing for you to take away, is that start networking, start talking to people. I know, I'll just give you one example out of our industry. This IPL app, which is a betting app. It is run by Dream 11, by Bhavit Sheth. He's a 22-year-old guy. He met me and he said that, sir, I had 152 rejections on this very app. Now imagine if after 30th rejection he would have given up, then he would not be 24,000 crore worth 22-year-old guy today, right? So don't give up.
The only difference is you are making something very concrete. You drop it on your foot, it's going to hurt. So keep at it, please.
Yes, I am. And also, I'm going to be having women manufacturing these panels. So we are going to come, whole hog. Right now, I'm the only woman in my company, but it's going to change.
Fantastic.
I look forward to hear from you.
I think we are badly out of time. So thank you very much. I wish we had more time, but I'm connected to you all, so I'm definitely going to pick all the brain. Please.
Sorry, I'm just taking more of your time. Just one point, because all of you guys sitting here are either entrepreneurs or from real estate industry. You know what? This session today is about how do we make technology popular into real estate. You know, there is one very important part which we are missing, and that is the intervention of government. I have a proposal which I have put up to government of Maharashtra already. Why not the government of any state, let's say Karnataka or Maharashtra or Gujarat, whatsoever it is, gives certain kind of incentives if I am using a particular kind of tech into my sector which will benefit the society at large. For example, if I am using a technology which will save the usage of water in construction, why not I get some kind of property rebate? I don't want any commercial rebates, or I don't want any money in return. All I'm saying is that to encourage the penetration of technology into real estate, if the government starts offering some kind of soaps, some kind of incentives to this industry, I'm sure it will be very easy migration for the industry adopting technology into it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.